you've made movies about geoengineering and chemtrails. What is the connection between geoengineering? Let's say, I don't know, putting aluminum particulates into the atmosphere ostensibly to forestall global warming. This is the excuse. This is what they say. This is what they're planning on doing at some point in the future. But what's walk us through the process of geoengineering to actually creating and steering these monster hurricanes.
Well, that's a great question. So usually in natural instances, natural cases, hurricanes are spawned off the coast of Africa. And whenever you have a tornado or an intense weather pattern like a thunderstorm or a hurricane, it's created by high and low pressure clashing together. Hot and cold air clash together, creates that spinning effect, like how you have in Tornado Alley and what have you. And anybody who knows about thunderstorms, that when you see the H's and the L's in the weather channel and these things clash together, you end up with these extreme weather events. Well, you can create the high pressure by spraying metallics in the sky, metallic aerosols, aluminum, barium, strontium, and then zapping them with HAARP-based electromagnetic frequencies. HAARP is an antenna array out of Alaska, a lot of people know, and then this technology actually exists shrunken down in things called NextRad and Doppler radar stations. Doppler doubles as weather predicting and weather forecasting, but also it doubles as a weather engineering. So if you can create high and low pressure, especially the high pressure, then you can start to clash things together and create this spinning effect. And so that's how, it's like putting metal in the microwave and then it intensifies the situation that's going on. Well, when you put metal in the atmosphere and then you zap it with electromagnetic frequencies, you can really get things going quickly, if that makes sense.
And you mentioned HAARP. Let me see if I remember the high auroral active research project in Alaska. Do I have that right? The acronym, I can't remember. Something like that.
I think you nailed it. I've heard highly active auroral research program, and I've also heard high altitude auroral research program. But this is a football field of antennas. It's about 75 antennas that are about 80 feet tall. And what they do is they pick a focal point in the atmosphere. It can be a mile-long focal point, but they pick a focal point in the atmosphere, and then they superheat it with intersecting microwaves. Now, if you add radio waves that are micro size. So what happens when you put food in the microwave is you've got microwaves on each side, and the focal point is the food, and they clash together, and then they oscillate the water in the food, and then it heats up the food in the microwave. HAARP is similar to that, where it picks a focal point in the atmosphere, and then it has intersecting radio waves clashing together, creating oscillation, heating the atmosphere. So if you add metallics, it just like if you stick a fork in the microwave, it does something. You add metal to the sky, and then you microwave it with intersecting radio waves, and you end up with a heating effect almost to the near temperature of the sun, and then that creates your high pressure, your rising air. And when you can create high pressure, you can clash it with low pressure, and you can do all sorts of things. You can create a big high pressure blob off the coast of California and have the jet stream have to go around it, and that's how weather is modified in California, and drought is caused. And then in the situation of creating hurricanes, you can create different spinning events well, in the Gulf of Mexico, when Milton was created, what happened was, and this is there's different radar images, and people have NextRad Doppler radar videos that have been sent. What happened with Milton is they created this spinning with electromagnetic frequencies, and then on the outer eye wall they did the opposite. So inside there was a clockwise spin, and outside of the hurricane there's a counterclockwise spin. And so they literally kept a hurricane in place and created this yin yang kind of top spinning effect. And then they stopped the outer eye wall and created this engineer hurricane to have it go towards Florida. And then what you have there is winds going from 50 miles per hour to 150 miles per hour overnight. And then new words are created like extreme rapid intensification. And these are things that, see, Floridians they watch the weather and they watch these things happen, and they're scratching their heads because they've never seen anything like this happen before. So people of all sorts of walks of life are asking the right questions. I hope that they can see my movie as well, Frankenskies, and look out for the sequel and really like put the two and two together, that there are chemtrails ongoing and that these things are being used to engineer the weather. But if you look at the weather, well, I have a weather weaponization timeline that would like to go over, but I don't want to
Yeah.
take the mic from you too much. Yeah.
Well, I just yeah, I want to get to that, but I want to ask you when you look at like the Doppler radar and so forth, are there signatures where you can say, okay, I'm looking this hurricane definitely engineered. No, this one is naturally occurring, or are they all engineered at this point?
Well, just about all weather conditions now, especially when they're extreme, they are engineered or influenced in some way. And the signatures that you see are like literal steerings. Like you'll see arms coming off of these Doppler, and you can zoom in. You can zoom in on a regular map and see these golf ball. They look like giant $20 million golf balls that are on the hillside. And these things should be emitting a uniform radar signature that's just surveying the moisture in the air and seeing what's going on. But what you do see instead are these arm bands coming out on the side and literally like steering and pointing things in a certain direction and nudging things along, or even nudging a spinning effect if they're positioned correctly.
Wow. Okay. So they can steer them into, for example, I mean, this is going to sound, I guess, outlandish to some, but let's just go there. If you have a particular piece of property and it's rich in lithium, and the people that are living there don't want their property, they don't want it strip mined for lithium, but along comes BlackRock and they buy up that mountain and they want to mine it. Can you steer that hurricane to that mountain, that specific mountain? Is it that precise? You can destroy all of the homes on that mountain so that it's, the property prices plummet and, a company can swoop in and buy it for pennies on the dollar.
Well, exactly. And not only can you steer these things, but you can spray different elements to have it. So there's this thing called cloud seeding. And when we get to the weather weaponization timeline, it'll be quite obvious that cloud seeding has been a tool that's been perfected over time. So you can dissipate rain and moisture with aluminum. And so you can keep a storm from dropping its rain until you want it to. And then when you get it over your target, you can spray a different chemical like silver iodide or even carbon dioxide, which the irony that carbon dioxide in the form of concentrated dry ice, frozen carbon dioxide, dry ice is used to seed clouds. So copious amounts of carbon dioxide are dumped into storms, and then carbon dioxide is we're blamed for the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is very negligible, 0.04%. It's a very small amount. People don't realize how small it is. But yes, you can, and that seems exactly what happened. And another aspect worth noting is Spruce Pine, North Carolina, which is all up in the mix of this as well, along with the lithium mine, is the high quality quartz in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, which will fuel the global semiconductor industry for AI. And it's the only high quality quartz in the United States. So the mineral deposits alone are starting to make people scratch their heads. And lithium mining is highly protested around the world. Whenever a new lithium mine opens up, like I just witnessed in Serbia a couple months ago, there were massive protests. The way that it rapes the land and impacts the people is staggering, and people come in droves to protest these things. And I'm learning that in North Carolina, the people had already been very outspoken that they didn't want this mine to open back up, and they were going to get a lot of flack and likely not be able to expand and do more um, mining and finding more and what have you. And so this would be the perfect play if you had the tools to do